Welcome to the afternoon session. We're about to wrap up. It's late in the afternoon, and we have a really special guest with us today, Michael Minardi. Michael and I have known each other since the cannabis age began in the state of Florida.
Yes.
It is an amazing journey, and besides his law firm, working for Regulate Florida, he's now moving into a new venture, running for the State House of Representatives. Of course, he doesn't like what's going on, so he wants to make some changes. Michael, welcome.
Thanks for having me
again.
again.
Great to see you. So tell us a little bit about what's going on with you. I haven't seen you really with COVID. It's kind of everyone's gone dark, but now we're back. So tell us what's in your world and what's going on.
Yeah, well, it's been a couple of years, and as you know, I've always wanted to and continue to try to progress the cannabis laws here in the state of Florida. So we're continuing to do it with the ballot initiative. We are now live for 2024. So we have 2 years to collect petitions, not 6 months. The legislature really made it difficult for us to get on.
Oh my God,
yeah.
yes. Mm-hmm.
And if anybody will notice, there is absolutely no ballot initiatives on the ballot for 2022 except the two that were put there by the legislature.
Right.
So that's number one thing. We're still continuing to push legalization through Regulate Florida, which is home cultivation. But as a result of all the hurdles that we've had and not being able to get it done, I figured I had to fulfill my latest dream and my last dream by running for office, because I know if we can't do it through lawsuits and fighting the industry here, and we can't do it through a ballot initiative, we can get legalization and end the arrest of innocent adults through the legislature.
Yeah, one of the things and we've had conversations I have with a couple of different groups, you can't go up and fight people in Tallahassee that their minds are set. You can't change them. I mean, they're not changing. So the only effective way of changing is to put people in that believe what you believe in. And what happens is, I don't think the average person throughout the state that votes, number one, knows who they're really voting for. Okay, they mark something down and whatever it is, last name, first name. I happen to like the name, and they do it. The initiative has to be, and we're working together, and hopefully Cannabis News can help you with that, is all the candidates that are running, you're going to make the decision. We're not going to make the decision for you, but tell you their stance on cannabis.
Yep.
And the problem is the average person going in doesn't know. And unless you're able to give them a slate of this person running for election, well, they weren't against it. I understand that. Were they for it? Yep. And if the answer is no, then you don't get your vote. And I think the more we educate people, I mean, you got 700,000 patients that are out there that are voting for cannabis, okay? But do they really know the right person to vote for? Do they know their record? Do they know where they stand? Where hopefully, by the time comes around, we'll be able to give you those answers. And with Michael running in it, he's able to change it from the inside and convince people, because they may not pay attention to us, but they'll pay attention to a colleague.
Well, and it's a lack of education up
Absolutely,
there. They all are still with the stereotypes and with the lazy stoner mentalities. And when I was up there lobbying, a few years ago, they didn't even know, a lot of the representatives didn't even know what hempcrete was. They didn't even know that hemp could be used for things like that. So those are the things that we need in addition to legalization of cannabis, the tax dollars that we can generate, the assets that law enforcement can go and use to stop violent crime. As we know, across this country, it's on the rise, including here in Florida. And it's just a waste of time for cops to be arresting people for cannabis when they could be out there protecting people and walking the streets in bad neighborhoods to make them safer.
Right. That's the one thing that we need to, it's a plant. It has to have some kind of regulation to it. There's no question. Nobody's saying that it doesn't.
Yep.
But with the right regulations, for the right reasons, it's a plus for everybody. But you're right, education is part of it. For those who want to be educated.
Yes.
The problem is there's a lot out there that don't want to be educated because they're still seeing that movie Reefer Madness. And if we as an industry have to be able to change our thinking of what it is. And it's a long haul.
Well, you know, it's interesting because I think in Florida it does go back between that disconnect between the voters and who they represent and the representatives and what they're saying. Because, you know, as we know, 71% of the people supported medical marijuana.
Absolutely right. Mm-hmm.
And our legislature since then has done everything that they could do to prevent patients from having access.
Right. Mm-hmm.
And that really has to stop. And we do that exactly by getting candidates elected that support this issue, that know this issue and understand this issue. And that's really why, you know, I started my career to become an attorney, was to get into this, to be able to legalize cannabis and stop the persecution of people for a plant. You know, we have so many beneficial things that we can do with these tax dollars. We have so many problems with infrastructure. We're one of the largest growing states in the country right now. And it's sad that even though 71% of of the people of Florida voted for medical marijuana, you know, 90% of any bill that is even pro-medical marijuana, even adding conditions, serious severe conditions like sickle cell for years,
right,
to the list of enumerated conditions, goes nowhere in
right,
Tallahassee.
Right.
And so those problems, you know, really have to be rectified. And I'm hoping that as we continue to evolve, as people who are currently in legislation are elected out and termed out, that us new class that comes in are more supportive of cannabis, that undersee and can educate people on the various aspects of it and the ridiculousness of it, because at this point in time, it's just ridiculous.
Oh, what's going on right now, and being up, I was up there in, I guess it was October, for about 3 or 4 days with a group. I have to tell you, you get a lot of lip service, and then when you turn your back and you say, okay, I think we got this done, it doesn't happen. And I think part of it, you're right, part of it is getting the people behind it, but educating them so they know what the true issues are and they know what's going on in this state. Because the truth of the matter, this may not be the most important thing in their agenda. Yep. And I appreciate that. It may not be. But it does represent a good number of people that are using from a medical standpoint, people from a recreational standpoint, no different than liquor, no different than it, and you can see the forest through the trees. The voter needs to make the difference. And I'm glad you're jumping into it, because it's important for somebody who is really pro-cannabis to be sitting there in Tallahassee.
Yeah, and I, you know, and to the voters out there and to the people, there's a lot of misconception, and especially on state levels, especially with the youth, that they don't vote. You know, they're like, right, my vote doesn't count. But realize there's no electoral college for ballot initiatives. There's no electoral college for any state-run seats. So every vote does count. Your personal vote counts. Your opinion counts, you know, in these elections on the state level. And, you know, people have to realize that, and people have to understand that the only way to really change these things is to get active.
Right.
You know, if you're sitting at home and you're using cannabis and you're not a patient, or you don't have it in the packaging, or you're buying from the black market, you're at risk.
Right.
And that's the bottom line. I mean, we're getting a lot of patients now that have been arrested for cannabis because it's not in the packaging they originally bought it from in the MMTC.
Right.
And that's in their home in addition to outside of their home.
Right. And again, the regulations relating to individuals and usage are archaic, and you need to broaden them. You need to have the ability, as one would say, why couldn't you, if you're in an atmosphere of a school or just someplace else, I can understand not lighting up a joint. I can understand that because it affects smoking and smoking. Yep. But why not a vape pen? Why not a tincture? And it's against the law. Yep. It's against the law for me to stand in this hotel lobby and take a tincture and put it under my tongue because I need it. I could be arrested. It's ridiculous. Totally ridiculous.
Well, I don't know if they're worried about someone using it, but you could use a CBD tincture,
Right.
which is in the same exact bottle now.
Right, exactly.
So-
it's crazy. So Michael, tell us a little bit about, in running for this, what support do you need, and how can people help you?
So, just like everything else, and as all the people know, and I'm originally from New Hampshire, we have one of the largest state governments in the country. Days where little moms and grandmothers could still walk around and run for elected official and get elected. That's not the case here in Florida. As everyone knows on the state and federal level, that money is politics is a money game.
Absolutely.
One of my favorite lyrics of Michael Franti's song is, in order to get the votes in Congress, you got to make it rain. And that's unfortunately the biggest thing we need is people to donate and help us out with finances. Any amount, benefits us. It could be $5, $10, $4.20.
Right.
It doesn't matter. Two things show support for a candidate: the number of people that we get donate, and two, the amounts of donations that we get. That is seemingly the only thing a candidate is judged by, is how much money that they raise.
Right.
So that's the most important thing. We need everyone to sign the petition for legalization.
Absolutely, right.
The only way that we are going to get this done in Florida, especially with home cultivation, is the people. We and you out there have the power. These media outlets, Cannabis News, we have the power to do this, and we just have to act. That's it. It takes 5 minutes to fill out a petition. It takes
Right.
5 minutes to go online and donate. You can find my website
Right.
at minardi4florida.com. That's minardi4florida.com or regulateflorida.com. And we need your support. If you're in South Tampa, we're going to need you to vote. We also always need volunteers to get out and help us knock on doors and go and talk to our constituents and let everyone know. And the way that I plan on running it is, number one, an open and honest
Right.
campaign.
Mm-hmm.
I am going to be transparent about everything, which I know is going to be difficult, but it's something that I believe in. It's
You have
something
to be these days.
that,
Right.
that I believe our candidates need. Number two, an open door policy. I want to be not a politician, but a member of the community that's running to represent people. I am from you, I am a part of you, and I'm not a politician that's someone that's like, oh my God, I hope I can talk to my politician.
Right.
We're going to have an open door so that we can talk to everybody, regardless of where we are in an issue.
Right.
I truly believe that we should be able to communicate about any issue, regardless of whether or not we're both for it or against it, and have lunch or dinner after and not hate each other.
Right.
And really have a push towards health, wellness, and humanity. Those are really the things I'm running for. And, with your help and, your donations and your support, we can get this done.
Yeah, and one of the things you can remember, Michael has been a supporter throughout the entire state, not just the area he's running at. So to say, well, he's not really in my district, is not the answer. If you believe in what he's saying, regardless of where you live in the state, whether you live in Key West or you live in Pensacola, if you believe in what he's saying, you need to help him out to be able to make it out. And again, it's not notice that we didn't even say whether it be a Democrat or Republican issue here. We're talking about not a party, but an issue and a belief. And it's time to vote for issues and people, not just party. And I think that's where people make a mistake over the years is, well, it's not that important. If I vote for this one or I vote for this one, it's the same. It's not the same thing. Absolutely not. You have to understand the candidate, whether it be Republican or Democrat these days, and vote for the things that are important to you.
Yeah, and I agree. And, I've been supporting that and pushing that for years. And it's something that we do have to do. It's the only way that we're going to change it. And if people want and they choose to, if they want to go out and vote for one thing on the ballot, they can do that. There's
Right.
no requirement that you fill out the entire ballot.
Exactly right. Exactly. People, you get lazy and you kind of just fill in the blanks.
Yep.
It's kind of like a test you take at school. Well, if I fill this one out, I may guess right and get my higher score, but it doesn't hurt me if I don't. The answer is, it does hurt you.
Yep.
If you really don't know the facts and you vote for the wrong person, because I can tell you from being up in Tallahassee, the time I was, there's a lot of wrong people up there, a lot of wrong people. And if we don't take a stance as proponents for the cannabis industry in the state, then don't complain later on when something happens and you don't like it.
Yeah, when your 2.5 ounces is up in 35 days.
Exactly right.
Yeah,
or they start reducing dosaging and that type of stuff for no particular reason. Yeah. You have to have the people that are going to support you and support the issues that are important to you that make your life better. This isn't like going out and buying a beer or liquor. This is your life. This helps you get better and really puts you on an even keel. And if you don't have that ability, what are you doing?
Yeah, and you know, and you said it, you know, one of the things we do as the law firm isn't just, you know, up in Tampa. We represent people throughout the state, and pretty much all the issues that we do in the cannabis industry affect everyone in the state.
Exactly.
So, you know, right now we do have 3 cases that are affecting employee rights issues.
Exactly.
So
right.
We are fighting for that, and that's something as well we will fight in the legislature. You know, I just need you all to give me the tools to represent you and this issue in Tallahassee, and we'll do it in every way that we can, through the law firm and through the legislature and through the ballot initiative, to make sure that patients are treated fairly, that people who use cannabis don't lose their jobs,
right,
you know, because of it, and that they're allowed to, you know, act and be like any other individual, not ostracized because of it,
right.
Not thrown out of a hotel, and not have a place to smoke as a result of it. You know, we got to create social lounges. We got to create things that creates and continues to build this cannabis community in Florida. And I promise you I'll do everything I can to do that.
Well, Michael, we support you, and we look forward to seeing you down the road.
Thank you very much.
Appreciate you coming on.
Always,
Thanks, Michael.
my pleasure.